Okay, as Dr. Patricia said, my name is Carlos Aparicio. I am full-time professor teacher at the Faculty of Architecture. Okay, can you hear me? Okay.
Solo
Okay.
graba eso.
Okay.
Sí, sí.
Thank you very much. Okay, as I told you, I'm coming with a team of the students from three careers, one for public health, other in architecture and industrial design. Also, my associate teacher is a student from the program of our PhD. So we are we want to make the knowledge to context CONACYT because they gave us the grant and having this opportunity to working together with the UTA. So and let us introduce the subject. In Latin America, there are many irregular settlements, and many authors have studied Latin America because for some of them, like Al-Sayad, the only way that poor people has access to the real estate market is taking an illegal position because this market is sealed for them. In this case, I want to mention that we work with a multidisciplinary team. As I told you at the beginning, we have students from public health, industrial design and architecture, and when they work with another disciplines, they sometimes have difficulties to understand other people from other disciplines, but at the same time, they have more richness for having more approaches. We received a grant last year from the European Union for working with the methodology called PBL, Problem-Based Learning. That is a methodology where the student is the main actor, and he has to work with real problems. He develops a knowledge because he creates all the methodology to work with local actors. The teacher is only a facilitator, is not the master, not the chief, and they work in small groups. And after working during one semester with this kind of students, we received this grant from Context Committee, and we are working together, and that's why we are today here. And I leave the work with one of our students who has worked this year in this project.
Thank you. Okay. Well, now it's my turn to talk to you, and I'm going to tell you about what we found as a group and what were the things that we found and that we analyzed throughout our investigation. So, La Campana, giving you a little bit of a background, La Campana is a neighborhood, an irregular settlement. If you see here, that is La Campana. It is a little more or less mound. So it developed it was one of the first neighborhoods through the development of the city. The location here, it's Monterrey. It's the city where we come from and where is La Campana. And here we are right now. So it's 608 kilometers far, 378 miles, Monterrey from Austin. And here it's, And here it's the metropolitan area of Monterrey. Monterrey has 9 cities, and its metropolitan area. And here is downtown, where the star is, and La Campana Mount is very near the downtown. So it is in a very privileged or in a very, let's say, uptown thing, but they don't have the accessibility as they should. So let's talk a little bit about that. We are working on a project that intends to have a social and a urban impact. We got to La Campana, and there is an NGO called Barrio Esperanza, and they told us that the people in La Campana are a group of people who have been going through all these situations: poverty levels, educational lack of dignified housing, and the perception of violence. It is composed by 13 neighborhoods and 6 census tracts. In 2013, the social interventions started with local actors trying to improve La Campana's situation. And here is La Campana, and here is Tecnológico de Monterrey. So Tecnológico de Monterrey identified the polygons problematic, and with one of their programs, that is Distrito Tech, but it is not Tecnológico de Monterrey, but it is part of it. They started analyzing La Campana's context and Tecnológico de Monterrey context, and they realized that it is right there. So they started looking at the problematics that La Campana has, and they found that they were transmitting all around it. So in 2014, the federal government implemented a method called root problem solving, and they focused on urbanism, crime prevention, poverty, social inclusion, territorial planning, and community intervention. So in 2016, Tecnológico de Monterrey and the federal government say, hey, we should work together. So since they were working by their own and they were working on the same matter, they decided to work together. So also the private industries and the private actors started looking at La Campana and started going through the problematics there and wanted to include themselves on the agenda. So on 2017, all the involved actors decided to create one single project called Transforming Cities Workshop, where they agreed what actions were they taking all along that year. So they decided that they wanted to improve the pocket parks. They wanted to build stairs for better accessibility, and they were trying to improve the legal situation by legalizing premises and justing make mural. So as you can see, they started working on the pocket parks. This was the first pocket park, and how it started, it was because this was a dumpster, and it was filled with garbage to the top. So one of the main interventions there was to get all the garbage out and trying to improve that place and trying to take advantage of that place and having a intervention so the people and the community actors wouldn't repeat the habit that they already had of dumping their garbage there. So they made a pocket park there with recycled seating and improved seating, and here now it's painted black, but like 6 months ago it had a legend that said, "It is prohibited here to dump your garbage." And also they started doing other interventions as its topographical situation is very uncommon. La Campana doesn't have a real planning. So all the accesses are very improved. Like they are some of them now are intervened by stairs, but other ones are not. So here's when Barrio Esperanza, as I told you a little while ago, started working as an NGO and started making profound changes with the community by the guidance of its own. So they already have an office that it works as a clubhouse because everybody can go there and everybody can take workshops there and little kids can go and spend their times, and it is a healthy way for them to recreate because the same kids say, I prefer being here and spending my time here where I feel safe than being in the other in other parts, you know. So so yeah, in our research we were told that many schools went to La Campana after all this movement of trying to upgrade their situation, and many universities, especially universities, were visiting there, and so they tried to make a change outside in and not inside out. So they tried to impose and to put solutions that they thought that were the correct ones for the locals and for the community actors and the community partners. So they only generated false expectancy and illusions, and also they made the people feel like there was something to be looked at because they were like bombed with all this information and all these people, strange people. Imagine like they felt as in a fishbowl, you know, like they were looking at all the time. So we tried not to make that. So when we got there, we made an alliance with Barrio Esperanza, the NGO, and we were asked, we made an alliance which consisted in, we are going to have all the information we want as long as we have something to give them back. You know, like we have something to propose, but not something that it's going to fix their lives or that's going to make them, I don't know, something that it's not what they need. So we started a long investigation, and here we got a lot of information from two studies. One of them was one that the University of La Universidad Autónoma de Nuevo León, the State University of Nuevo León, asked the Dr. Carlos Aparicio, which was a census tract. So the main population of La Campana consists in 9,543 inhabitants, and mainly the biggest part of them are children. So that gives us a lot of information of what are we doing and what is the development of their situation. The high educational gap is of 23%, and it is above the national average 19.2%, and the food expenses are 52% of their incomes. So they're spending more than half of their income in food. And in our investigation, we realized that it is not good quality food. So that develops a lot of problems and a lot of health issues that are right now in La Campana. Here's the public lighting, the formal and the informal. The streets here, you can see how some of them have been intervened and some of them not. Here I am. And you can see the pathway. Going through this, I felt like the day after, I felt like I had been like going through the gym 12 hours or I don't know. It was, yeah. And you start thinking, like this was one day in my life, or 2 or 3, the days we visited La Campana. But what happens with people who live there? We were told that elder people cannot go down La Campana. If they have a chronic situation with their health, some of them die there because they cannot get to the clinics. And also mothers have children there. Like they have been delivering kids there because they cannot get to a hospital soon. So this is a chronic situation. And also the formal housing and the informal housing, thanks to the interventions and the legalizing of premises, now all this part is green, but it was all the way around. It was red, and now they have been having their houses legally, but when you go there, you see a lot of houses that are improvised, like these ones. And in the public space and park, only 4.2% of the populations have participation in sports activities, and that's below the average of sport participation in the national population. And why don't they exercise? You say like, well, they have to go up the mountain every day. That should be enough exercise. No, they don't have the facilities to do it. And they say that they don't have time, and they are very fatigued from work. Imagine yourself going back from work and going up La Campana and saying, oh, and now I have to work out. And now I have to work out. Oh my God, it's like, it's not the way it goes. So, so here it's a little X-ray of the health, the home, like here's La Campana. Here's are the clinics, the green ones. And the schools also are just 2 are inside the polygon. And as you can see here, it's very marginalized. So what are the stakeholders? Barrio Esperanza is the NGO with Julio Castro Reyes, that is the infrastructure coordinator. He lives in La Campana, and he is the one who decides which are the parts that they are going to turn into pocket parks. And Celina, the director, and Dora Luz, who is the psychological service coordinator, both of them were chosen by the people to be there. And the economical actors are the state of Nuevo León and also the municipality of Monterrey. The institutional actors are Distrito Tech as program of Tecnológico de Monterrey, and CEMEX as a private industry. The academic actors are the State University of Nuevo León, the UDEM, the University of Monterrey, and we made a strategic alliance with our Rotaract Club that is in Monterrey, Rotaract del Valle Monterrey. I'm going to talk a little more about it when I go on. So in the field research, we went there and we were told that we had to go with Barrio Esperanza and that we had to identify ourselves as friends of the people from Barrio Esperanza because of the violence condition they had been before. They are very how can I say? Yeah, like uncomprehensive with people, and they always feel like they are threatened. So when we got there, we were asked a lot, like, what are you doing here, and where do you come from, and what are you gonna do, and how long are you staying? And at first it was a little bit scary, but it's all right. Once you get there and once you meet the people, you see that they are very good people. And the people there, they only want their place to be upgraded, and they want they want themselves to upgrade it. So then you can see here, this is in one of the streets of La Campana. They have a very, very, very nice view. Like, personally, I think that it's one of the best places in the city. Like, to have this view, it is, I don't know, you can see El Cerro de la Silla, that it's like our main mount, and we love it. And you can see all around the city, and you can see all these skyscrapers, and they have a very, very nice view. Also, the access areas, they have been intervened, some of them, and some other not. But when we made the queries with the people, they told us that some of them were like the budget that the government invested on it was very, very high, and that they didn't need that interventions. They needed other interventions first. So this is the pocket park that I was telling you about. These two are other pocket parks that this was the second intervention, where they started going through the public space route, and all these games were donated. This pocket parks, this one is a little bit upper, and this is on the top of the mount. So this both they are alongside a cliff. So when we got there, we were like, how are kids playing here? You know, like, what are the conditions where the kids are playing? But they're safe, and they're using them a lot. So this is Barrio Esperanza, and the clubhouse that I was talking to you about. This is where the magic happens, like where they talk to the people and they start doing the programs all together. So these are all the other views. So we made a SWOT, and it was based on public spaces, very specifically. On the strengths, we found that the pocket parks were built by the neighbors, and that adults go there to socialize and to meet and to recreate. Also, that children from other places go there. And the most important part, that they have a very strong sense of community. Since La Campana has been through a lot of violence situations, and many people have lost their families, their brothers, their kids, their mothers, their husbands, wives, they made a very strong sense of community, and they want to protect each other. So that we thought that, and we think that is the strongest part. In their weaknesses is the lack of shading in the public space. They want to use the public space, but they don't have the shading. They have very complicated accesses for elder adults. They have very poor fencing in the areas. As I told you, they have alongside the cliffs their playgrounds, and the lack of maintenance in the games. The opportunities, they have great views of the city, the concern of the neighbors for the environment, and taking advantage of the sense of community. And the threats are that the parks are very vulnerable to weather issues, and the community is threatened by the fact that it can be invaded because of its topographical vulnerability. This was the main cause that the violence got there, because they have a very topography very accidented. They are impermeable, so when the violence got there, they had like a shield from the rest of the community. So that is why that made them vulnerable, and that made them an easy catch for the violence. So the findings we have, and the little proposals that we made, we were asked by the community, as I told you before, to develop a guideline, and we chose to do an urban acupuncture focusing on 3 main areas, since we knew that the children were the biggest part of the community, and that the children are going to be grow up and to be the biggest part of the pyramid. We concentrated in them by connecting people, upgrading accessibility, and giving people quality public space. So how will we participate in these interventions? By working on the spaces that the people already use. We don't want to give them a solution, an external solution, and we don't want to give them something that they didn't ask for, or that they are not going to use, or that they are not going to be able to make it their own. So that's why we chose these interventions, and that's why we wanted to give them something just to upgrade their quality lives. So we took an SDG as base, and we concentrated in sustainable cities and communities. And so this is the Pocket Park that I told you that is on top of the mount. And the current situation is that it is the most visited park, and it doesn't have fencing, it doesn't have sunshade, and it doesn't have space for people to sit. So we proposed planting trees for them to grow into the future and provide the shading. But meanwhile, we proposed doing a sun shading with plastic bottles, because the community already does recycling, and it is a very strong practice that they do. So we are just turning their recycled items into a shading. And also, how will it be built? This is the current situation, and this is how we propose it to be. Here's the recycling area in La Campana. They were giving these murals as part of a movement that is called Open House, and it is all around the world. And Open Muro, that is, it would be open wall, let's say, is an intervention that makes murals. So they were chosen by Open Muro, and they were, Barrio Esperanza, the NGO, had the artist go there and discuss the designs that they were painting. Because at first they had designs that the people said, we don't want that there, here, and we don't want that to be part of our identity, because they remembered things, the time where they had a lot of violence, because the colors on the palette of the murals was black, white, and red. So at first they said, no, we don't want that here. And they started working a lot with designers and the artists, and they got to the conclusion that they wanted birds. So as you can see on the photos, they have a lot of birds. And this one is like the design that you need to recycle here. So that was a little bit of a background. But continuing with the intervention, how will it benefit the community? Well, it will provide kids the opportunity to stay longer in the playgrounds, and at the same time, it will give their guardians the opportunity to relate and to build a stronger community as a consequence. So also, we we proposed the fencing, the tire fencing, and they already do that. We took that as an idea that they already have. Let me see if it's here. Yeah, they already have this. So what we did was to take that idea, use it, and to upgrade it by making these fences plant pots. So they are going to have a little harvest there, and that is going also to contribute on the public health and the main problems that they have with the food. Also the seating, that is the current situation. Our intervention is putting benches around the playgrounds. And how will it benefit the community? By having a place to meet and relate. And tree bark, we also saw that the ground it's very unstable. So how are we going to improve this and to upgrade it? By putting tree bark. And by that, the kids are going to have a better place to play, and if they fall, they're going to have a safe place to fall. and also, since it's a natural material, it will help with weather issues. Like if it rains, it's gonna drain, and also it's gonna stabilize the ground. And asphalt paintings, these are a lot of interventions in our city and in our state have been going through the asphalt paintings. The crosswalks, they have a lot of designs. So we took that as an idea to paint the limit with the roads to connect the spaces. If you see the little purple way, you're going to know that you will get to Barrio Esperanza, or that you will get to the Pocket Park on top of the mountain. So how will this benefit the community? It upgrades the urban image, it promotes a sense of belonging with the community, and it contributes with more areas of recreation and for them to be interactive, because the community has given a lot of stuff donated. And so we were concerned by the fact of them not being, not feeling as a dumpster. You know, like they didn't feel as, okay, I'm getting all of these donated, but why can't I have something of quality? So we wanted to make this intervention for them to have a little more a happier place. So this is a little benchmark of the asphalt paintings that we have in our state and in our city. Okay, so here's the part where I talk you about the strategic alliances. In Monterrey, we have around 25 Rotary clubs, and we have 8 Rotaract clubs who are consistently working with the community. One of the clubs already worked with La Campana, and I am part of the Rotaract Club del Valle Monterrey. So in the development of this project, I thought, why can't we link it for it to be a project that is going to be perdurable, so it can be a sustainable project, so it is not going to be just an intervention and voila, you know. So it just so it continues to upgrade the situation of the community partners. So I presented the project to the Rotaract Club, and and they loved it, and they already want to go and know the people and stuff. So this is a way that they are going to make the project sustainable, and they are also going to know other things that probably we didn't, because they are going to be working further with the community. So also in the conclusion, the government and the private actors have been working with La Campana since they knew that it was something that it was intervening with Distrito Tech and with other spaces in Monterrey, and when they saw also that they have a very nice view of the city, and also when they saw that they were having the premises at a very low cost, and they are near very important parts of the city. So as I told you before, this is the downtown, more or less. This is Distrito Tech and the Technological Monterrey. Here is La Campana, and this is a development plan made. If you see here, it is made by the government of the state, by the municipality, by Tecnológico de Monterrey, and by private actors as CEMEX, that is CEMEX, that is one of the biggest industries of cement in Monterrey. So here we saw that they have positive things that are such as parks, and also the public transportation that they are proposing, but they have this thing called magical neighborhoods that are as the magical towns in Mexico. So what says that? Like, they are alienizing them, and they are turning them like into a circus, like go and have tourism there and go and have fun. And also here it says entrepreneurship centers. So what we conclude is that this is going to gentrify on the future. So what is going to happen? That they are expelling the community partners from it. So we didn't like that. And we also concluded that we cannot go to a place and try to intervene and try to solve their lives and giving solutions that we think are the correct ones. We have to work with community. We have to be part of the community. We have to mix with the community and understand them, and on our expertise areas we can propose, but first you have to know and you have to be very careful with what are their habits and what are their customs and their traditions and everything. So I'm talking in a personal way and also in a group way. My group and I, we realized that it was a lot of information that we got from La Campana, and it was a very strong sense of sensibilization, let me say. It was a very strong sensibilization what we got from La Campana and from this project. And that is one of the main things that we stay with, and that is going to help us throughout further projects and throughout our lives in general. We want to acknowledge Barrio Esperanza because they helped us go to La Campana, know the people, be there, and they also gave us very strong information. And we also want to acknowledge Context and CONACYT for the grant and for us to be able here. And we want to thank you guys for being here and for letting us be here. That's all. Any questions?
We got time for questions, so
Yeah, sure.
presentation, so open up to questions.
Yes?
I noticed that there's only elementary schools in like the hill.
Yeah.
Have you guys talked to like the government maybe to see if they can implement like high school like within the community, I guess?
No, we haven't talked to the government. We were talking with Barrio Esperanza, and we were told that the educational system around there was very complicated because of the premises situation as well. So we didn't go into that field, really. Yet. We haven't gotten yet. Yes.
You just mentioned gentrification.
Yeah.
Could you expand on that a little bit? Give
Yeah.
us a little bit more background about gentrification in Monterrey.
Yeah, of course. Let me go to that slide. There we go. So, since gentrification, as a student of architecture, I understand that it is a phenomenon that happens when external people want to buy the premises and they want to exploit them for them to take the most advantage of these premises and economical advantages mostly. So in Monterrey happens that right now we are living in a situation that many entrepreneurs and many businessmen are buying lands to gentrify. Like they want to exploit them to take the most advantage of them. So what we saw here when we analyzed the plan was that most of these things in purple are, let's say, kind of invasions, because they are entrepreneurship centers. They are things like commerce, and then more commerce, and more commerce, and more commerce. And so, since in Monterrey we have around 8 billion in the metropolitan area.
But 1.5 million, more or less.
Yeah, and we only have 2 lines of the metro. So when we saw this study, we said, like, if the government really wanted to, or if the private actors really wanted to connect people and really wanted to make a plan for it to work, they would work on the mobility system. And they are not doing so because they are putting their attention into buying the premises and trying to take the most advantage of them. So that is why we got to the conclusion that that was going to happen in here. Because in what already is happening, it doesn't solve. Like right now, they have been promising things and it's not solving the situation.
We know, and you know, the people that is working on this new master plan, it's private and enterprises, and there is a lot of money and political issues going in here. As you can see, there is the state government, but also the city government, and right next to it is the private school, one private school, and then private enterprise. So what does it tell us?
And no, sorry.
It's funny for us, yes.
Yeah, and also it is funnier that here is the most rich municipality in whole Latin America. So so we got to the conclusion that they're not willing to connect people.
So the 19,000 people that live there, how many family units are made up of those 19,000? And then who owns the property rights? I mean, do they have any property rights? Because I think you have to go back to the legal system to ask the question, right? I mean, if the private sector, that's a very valuable piece of land.
Yeah.
So I think everybody's going to go after it. So I think the first line of defense is legal. Who owns the land? Who owns the property?
Exactly.
So that's my question to you. How are property rights in La Campana? Who owns it? You know.
Well, right now, I know that they are, most of them are already legalized. They already legalized the premises for the people, the community partners to live there, like the neighbors. But the others, they are occupied by people. So,
So what percentage of the Campana residents, of the family units, not the 19,000,
More than
the
60,
family
more than 60%
Yeah.
is already legal.
Uh-huh.
But in
Yeah.
Monterrey, we don't know that. We as people, many people from the whole area in Monterrey thinks that La Campana is illegal. And they don't really know that they're legal and they're legally there. They have their houses and
yeah. There I go. There you go.
60% of La Campana owns their own house. 66.
60,
Yeah.
more than 60.
Yeah.
The thing is that you can take East Austin as an example. It doesn't matter who owns the land, because what happens is the municipalities will start raising taxes and make it
Exactly.
prohibitive for people to be able to stay in their own homes because they can't afford the taxes, so they're driven out that way, you know?
Exactly.
When is this, the master plan, be like, expected to be, like, was there like a time frame?
Well, they're working right now, and I guess they're working on 2021, and they're working on a high density building, and it's a tower for living, and it's where's the pointer?
This one.
It's gonna be around here, and they're planning to just buy their lands if they're legal. If they're illegal, they're taking it, and it's inside that plan. So by 2021, they're making a big tower for apartments, and local businesses.
Commerce.
Well, not local, not so local, but business. So we have 2-3 years for
Left.
stopping that.
I'm sorry, I had a question about the source of data for the particular description of the community, including the INEGI data. And I'm wondering about the degree of specificity and detail that you're able to get out of the INEGI data, as opposed to, I don't know, just in a neighborhood, for example.
Let me answer this question. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. In 2015, with a group of other students of the Faculty of Architecture, Economy, and I don't remember exactly what the other faculty, they made a field research, and they marked where the illegal settlements, asked by each owner of each house. They took where the damage in the walls, in the lights, etc. And we link those information by residential block with the data of INEGI. So if you see, we create some tables like stores, like churches, where was the graffiti, the open spaces, and we link that information with the INEGI information, and all of this is in the same table. So you can make queries to ask specific information. For example, where the lodgement with more than 2.5 people by lodgement, with scholars more than 6 years, etc. So, and this data is able to be consulted because I made it.
So that's my question though, so you have the INEGI data.
Yes?
But then you have to kind of come in and
Yes.
supplement it yourself by your own house-to-house.
The people, the students did that, and we create this database.
I have a question regarding, well, you mentioned that Monterrey is one of the richest city in Latin America, something like that, or municipality. So would you say that this, the wellness is focused on some parts of the city, as in many other places in the world, or we can say that poverty is a minor problem in that city? Like, I want to know what do you mean with
Yeah.
regions?
See, let me take you to the plan of Monterrey, because Monterrey, it's like a puzzle, really. It's a metropolitan area. So San Pedro, this municipality, is the one which is the richest in all Latin America. So here, San Pedro. So here is La Campana, and Monterrey, it's like this space, and San Nicolas is Monterrey, it's a middle class municipality. San Pedro, it's a very, very high class. San Nicolas, it's a middle class. Santa Catarina, middle low. Guadalupe and Juarez, it's a little low. Guadalupe, middle low. And the surroundings are middle low class. San Pedro is very, very high, and La Campana is on the middle of all that, right?
Right on the edge.
Yeah.
La Campana is the edge of Monterrey and San Pedro.
Exactly.
If you
Let me
cross the
show
street,
you.
You can see the skyscrapers, you can see
Exactly.
malls, you can see...
Here.
They're there.
Like, this is La Campana, this is Monterrey, and this is San Pedro, which is the richest part. Yeah. So it is a very high contrast. When you go through the roads, like, I used to live in Monterrey when I was little until like 8 years, and then I moved to another city. And when I moved back and I was crossing that road where you can see on one side San Pedro and on the other side La Campana and other neighborhoods which are very, very poor, I was like frozen, you know, because the contrast is very, very strong. So that is the situation in our city. Yes? Yes?
Do you see that contrast often in other cities as well, or is it just like in like Mexico, like La Ciudad de Mexico, Guadalajara, and Monterrey?
No, we see that very often. Very often, yeah. Yes?
Can you say a little bit more about how you can choose the particular interventions
Yeah.
that you all worked on and proposed solutions for? So I noticed that Barrio Esperanza has an infrastructure director.
Uh-huh.
So how exactly was input gathered from residents, if any at all? Does the director make most of the decisions? So what was the process for
For the interventions,
you can talk a little more about it.
yeah, we are not yet there to the point where we haven't talked to them. Like until here they are just proposals, you know, they are just like plans. And we got there because we made an analysis and we saw that the most part of the population was children, and also because of putting a lot of attention in the community's habits, such as having their harvest, having their fencing with the tires, having their playgrounds and using them. Having also, we wanted to stay in the line of sustainability. That's why we made the proposal of the tree bike. So those were the indicators that helped us design these interventions, but they are discussable.
You know, the time that the team went to Barrio Esperanza to their facilities, they had these specific post-its where they had specific problems. So the difference in these interventions are that they were with the Barrio Esperanza, and Barrio Esperanza already knew the exact problems that they had. So once we got there, they were, well, people want, they have these problems, and it's a difference that just going there and giving them a solution or giving them a proposal, instead of really going there and seeing their post-its, or just checking their schedules where they have
the real necessities.
Yes, we want to work on this and that, and that gave us a path that we walked, and we got to that.
Yes, and we talked a lot with the community actors, and we asked them, what do you want? What are the things that would you improve in your neighborhood? And those were the things that we took as basis for us to do the designs and the interventions. Yes?
So back to, I mean, this, you know, with really being ignorant about the particular context, I mean, this does seem really ripe for land speculation justification, right? Just because of the location. So I'm wondering, within Mexican law or regulatory frameworks, if there are tools that are available to communities to sort of mitigate, slow down, you know, combat these pressures, just the locational characteristics of this community, and, you know, kind of what I can gather from the context of what you guys said. So is there anything you could do, or is there anything that could be done, maybe not do it, that could protect this community as it's incrementally being improved?
Well,
That's a good question.
I think that maybe that's our aim, and also the other classroom that is going to be working in this area also, because they're not being taken. We're not seeing them. The government is not seeing them. It's like they're not even there. So how can we protect something that the government is not even protecting? They're on their interest, and they're proposing a master plan or a plan that is according to their needs.
And that's why our interventions focus a lot on building community, you know, so that the own community, it's the one which will protect itself, you know. That's why our goal and our aim to design things was to build a stronger community. Yes?
So maybe sort of continuing that comment, and also the initial comments made about how this is your team is a very multidisciplinary, interdisciplinary team. Maybe moving forward, a good idea might be to include someone that is familiar with like law and land use development, so that you can draw on their expertise.
Exactly.
And further inform local community members as well on what are some of their rights to the land and land use related stuff. And then another question was maybe who, since the government is the one that has been, along with the private business community, involved in the master plan, which is there any type of, in the political sphere, is there any type of party or individuals that might be challenging this master plan maybe? Or who, or which party, I guess, is interested most in the implementation of this master plan?
I would say that the government incurs. We were talking about that we have governments every 3 years or every 6 years.
Yeah.
That's why some of the or most of the projects don't get like their
Or completed?
yes they don't they're not completed. So we would rather say that it's their sexennial well the government interests just the right the local government interest.
Yeah, and the people who see who can
Short term, yes.
exactly,
Short term.
and the people who see who could get advantage of it or who could get something out of it.
Following the legal question, also bring somebody to your group who has real estate development experience. Because if I'm going to be the devil's advocate, let me go ahead and let me go ahead and be on the other side of the fence.
Sure.
Yeah.
What is the value, what is the square foot value of that property? If I'm a real estate developer and I want to build a 15, 20 floor condominium,
Yes.
what is the value of that piece of land? So it's also an issue of economics.
Yeah.
What is the value of the land? And I think that if you look at that value, then you look then at different options that either the community have, or at least you know what you're finding, and you know that there is a huge economic, not only legal. I mean, sometimes money can supersede legal issues.
Especially in
course.
Mexico. Sorry to say that.
So, you know, I'm an economist, so the first question to me is, what is the value of the land?
Yeah.
What is the true market value to a real estate developer to build a 15, 20 tower condominium that they can sell each condominium by $300,000, $400,000?
Yeah.
So think about that too. What is the economic value of the land? And can it trump the legal side of the question?
Yeah.
Any questions?
One last
Sure.
comment.
Yeah.
From the previous discussion that we were having before the
Yeah.
presentation, I know one concern from the perspective of like community organizing and social movements would be that there's a lack of that type of culture in Monterrey. And so how maybe another alternative might be to develop a more confrontational type of culture where in the event that the legal arguments and the economic arguments are not very effective, people and their bodies might be the most effective tool in this case to actually defend their sort of interests in the community.
And we as a public university, we should do that because we are using public money for our education, but also we have to give something back to our community. But yeah, I definitely agree with that.
Yeah.
We lack of that. We have a lack of well, government doesn't want that, especially in north of Mexico, especially in Monterrey, and government prefers for us to be just quiet
Yeah,
and,
quiet.
and
Calm
and
and-
easy, calm.
Yeah.
Let me just, as I told you during the previous discussion, in Monterrey particularly, the Industrial Revolution arrived 200 years after in the beginning of the 90s of the last century. So the solution of the Industrial Revolution arrives early or rapidly. So many workers, many neighborhoods for workers were well built with the urban design inspired of the North American design, and they live properly, correctly. So that's why the people, the syndicates in Monterrey are very disciplined. So they prefer to be calm, to be according with the government, independently of the party, of the power, and they are very disciplined. So people always work in Monterrey. They don't have time to make manifestations or movements, because the first thing in Monterrey is to work, to make money for me and for my chief.
Yeah.
Okay? It's
They're
it's
very
part of the mentality
submissive.
of the people from Monterrey.
That's right.
And I'm from Monterrey, but I know that.
Yeah, yeah, that's true.
So I don't know if you have any other questions.
Any other questions?
Or comments?
Comments?
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.